welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Jo Stanley. It's a delight to be alongside Luke Darcy, Jacqui Felgate and Dr Nick Carr. And well, winter is officially here.
Sure is, Jo. I think of those freezing cold nights at footy training where there wasn't any thermals or active wear. I must admit, Jack, I prefer the warmth now.
Toughen up. No, I agree with you. And I think the trick with this kind of weather is to get up, to get moving, to get the blood flowing. And that really does take the edge off the cold mornings.
But it's a great point, Jack, because with all these sitting down desk-type jobs these days, we know that only 1 in 5 adults aged 18 to 64 is meeting the daily physical activity guidelines. Too much time on our backsides is not good.
And Nick, we're going to focus today on getting the body moving and hopefully inspire people to do exactly that, especially through these winter months.
A leading physio breaks down the facts of whiplash after a neck-cracking sneeze, would you believe?
And Dr Nick, you're going to take us through the most human of expressions, blushing, and what causes it.
Indeed. Plus, we take a look at the drug that everyone's talking about and so many people seem to want, Ozempic.
And the man with a big heart, Gotcha for Life's own Gus Wallen, comes to join us and talk all things men's mental health.
And winter, of course, is the time for the flu and all sorts of other nasties. And the great thing is that medical research is constantly looking for and finding ways to treat them.
Yes, the Peter Doherty Institute was absolutely key in developing global vaccines to fight COVID during the pandemic. Now they're infecting healthy volunteers in a bid to fight the next threat. Earlier this year, Manon Davies spent a week in a hospital ward taking frequent doses of antibiotics and giving blood and urine samples. But Manon wasn't sick. In fact, she was in perfect health.
Well, the ad appeared on my social media at just precisely the right time for me. I had some time off work, and like many people, I was feeling the pinch financially and always looking for new ways to supplement my income.
Each year, thousands of Aussies like Manon and fellow participant Ellie Answorth sign up for paid clinical trials, helping test new and potentially life-saving medical treatments.
Knowing that you're playing a vital role in medical research is pretty cool.
Yeah. You can't be scared of needles. You can't have a needle phobia or a blood phobia to do this.
You will get over it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not scared of having blood taken at all anymore.
If there's a new vaccine.
But at this new research clinic in Melbourne, Dr Andrew Brockway and Professor James McCarthy are calling on Victorians to volunteer for a different type of clinical trial.
Pop this on your finger.
One that involves deliberately infecting healthy patients.
Doherty clinical trial is quite unique. There's a number of clinical trial facilities around Australia that conduct early phase clinical research. Doherty Clinical Trials also has a specialisation in what's called the human challenge model.
So human challenge trials are studies where we intentionally give people a small dose of some sort of virus or bacteria or parasite and then follow the course of their infection after treatment, or whether they're actually protected if we've already vaccinated them. So it's a really powerful way to figure out whether new treatments or vaccines actually work without going to sick people in communities and risking that treatment not work in those communities.
Future guests in this carefully contained facility, the first of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere, could intentionally be infected with anything from the flu to malaria and even gonorrhea.
We've also got some interesting and new studies. So, for example, in Melbourne, we are working with colleagues at the Doherty Institute to develop a Buruli ulcer challenge model where we would actually scratch the people's skin with the bacteria that causes Buruli ulcer and then see whether the treatments we've got work and whether we can develop a vaccine for that.
As strange as it sounds, these types of studies have been conducted overseas for decades. But the Doherty Institute have worked extra hard to make their clinic feel as unclinical as possible by providing such creature comforts as extra wide beds, high-quality bedding and a cosy living room for their virus volunteers.
Meanwhile, they've also got access to all the important clinical facilities like you would have in a hospital, so resuscitation equipment, all that sort of thing. So if something was to go wrong, God forbid, we're ready for it and we're trained for it and we've got all the necessary equipment. So it's sort of that cross between a hotel and a hospital that we really aim to get in place.
Payment for these studies is similar to jury duty. It depends on the length of the trial, not what you've been infected with. But money aside, you may be wondering who voluntarily catches an infectious disease.
My name is Matthew Beagle. I live in Baltimore, Maryland in the United States.
Over the past few years, Matthew has signed up for not just one, but two of these studies, raising his hand for a dose of the mosquito-borne Zika virus and the deadly Shigella bacteria.
For the Shigella vaccine study, they had little shot glasses with the Shigella bacteria in liquid, and so we just kind of like took the drink of the Shigella. And then from the Zika study, they would have the mosquito in a cup with like a mesh top, and we would sit with our arm kind of over top of the cup while the mosquitoes bit us for 30 minutes or so until they had enough bites from that set of mosquitoes. I did experience diarrhea, headaches, and maybe like some type of light sensitivity. We have the resources to be able to conduct these trials safely. And if I can use my body for science to be able to help people in maybe third world countries that don't have as many resources, then I think it's completely worth it. And then also you get some money on the side as well.
This is a really important thing to understand, that the ethics involves, first of all, experts in the area on an ethics committee reviewing what you're planning to do and giving an opinion that it's safe. And then also that the people coming into the study have been reassured that it's safe, but also they've given you permission to do that. So it's really that informed consent process, which is critical.
It's really important to understand that all the challenge trials we will do at Doherty Clinical Trials are going to have full treatments.
And they're not going to be risking their family, for example, transmitting the infection to their family. That's one of the really important things to know, that when people participate in their studies, we make sure that they're no longer infectious when they leave our unit.
No, it's very clever. Obviously, I have a family, I have children. I would never do anything to put myself at risk. But I also think that every trial is approved by the Australian Ethics Committee. It's safe. And I'm also helping advance medical knowledge. It's very satisfying.
Amazing work there from the Doherty Institute, and we know that diseases and treatments constantly come and go, as do exercise trends. And one that's popping up everywhere at the moment, wait for it, toe yoga. Have you heard of it?
I mean, what next, right? The internet has exploded with articles and videos on how to do yoga for the toes.
Have you tried? It's not easy to move your toes.
Well, I
They're
mean,
down there, Dave.
yeah, I got to tell you that I can't do a downward dog. Normally, maybe this is the only chance I can get of doing a downward dog with my toes. They reckon that it can improve balance, flexibility and posture, and that can help prevent common injuries. I'm a little sceptical.
Well, how hard can it be? Just a bit of flexing, a bit of bending, and it's something we do unconsciously anyway, isn't it?
Well, I thought the weirdest version I'd heard was goat yoga. And then along comes toe yoga, and I thought, really? But actually, the more I thought about it, the more sense it makes, because the humble toes really are so crucial for walking, running, and as we get older, the most important thing is balance. And as you know, ageing is my special subject.
It is. I'm a bit worried about the goat, by the way.
Don't go there, don't go there.
Down a rabbit hole on that one. And sometimes the smallest things can make a massive difference. And that's exactly what University of Sydney professor Jim Elliott found when a simple sneeze turned into whiplash.
We often reduce someone's pain experience to an 11-point scale. 0 is nothing, 10 is something. And I think it's also safe to say that if you went around the world and asked people, well, what's a 10? You might get different answers from everybody.
Physiotherapist Dr. James Elliott has spent his career investigating pain.
You know, you might hear people say, oh, a 10 is the worst pain imaginable. A 10 is rush me to the ED. A 10 is the worst pain I've ever had. Well, we've written a few papers on the numeric pain rating scale, and whilst it is a good scale and it does help us, people are going to rate their pain very differently. And I think what we end up finding from individuals is that it's usually because we don't give them a good definition of what a 10 is.
James has researched whiplash and neck and back pain using car accidents as a mechanism to understand why some people recover from traumatic injuries and others don't.
The majority of people who have a car crash, we don't see any salient lesion or anatomical structural damage, which often makes us scratch our head and say, well, what could be wrong here? So we can't underestimate the fact that whilst there may not be any damage noted on the scans, it's still a pretty stressful event that we've had to go through and live with the rest of our lives.
James has always been very active, a keen baseball player and gym goer. He was pretty fit with the occasional physical niggle.
I myself led a pretty blessed life. I had some shoulder injuries, as I said, from baseball, and some knee pain every once in a while, but really no spine pain to speak of. And as part of my own research, I've undergone countless scans of my neck just for research purposes. So I was very aware of the fact from the age of about 30 to now, and I'm 54 now, that I had some fairly significant degenerative changes in my cervical spine. But never a day of neck pain in my life. Never a day of neck pain.
But that was all about to change by one simple involuntary action.
It was the fateful day, I guess it was about July, August of 2023, and I had the most almighty sneeze, no different than you've done 1,000 times in your life. And that just seemed to be the threshold. That just immediate zinger down my arm. Within days, I could feel that my muscle in the back of my arm was getting weaker. I couldn't feel my fingers at all. So I knew that something bad had happened there.
He self-managed, took pain meds and tried physio with no relief. Eventually, he saw a neurosurgeon.
He and I both knew this was going to need something more, and that something more was a fusion in my neck in 2 different levels, so the 5th, 6th, and 6th and 7th vertebra. It was the scariest thing because here I had been someone who'd studied this phenomenon for 20 some odd years, lived a blessed life, never had any problems. And now I'm suddenly faced with this, am I ever going to get better?
One sneeze is all it took for James to become a patient with an injury likened to one suffered in a car crash. Not only was he now not in the driver's seat, he was completely reliant on the skills of the surgeon.
I found myself in theatre about a week later, and I will never forget, as long as I live, hopefully, I could feel my hand again. And it's amazing how much you take that for granted. You know, I was having trouble buttoning my shirt, brushing my teeth, doing the fine things that we do every day and take for granted. But yeah, I could feel my hand again.
Apart from the immediate pain relief that came from the decompression, the surgery had another upside.
It restores the normal curve in your neck, and it actually increases the space between there. So I guess you could say I got a little taller.
And looking down for me, please.
8 months later, James is back with a very different perspective and a brand new appreciation of what it means to be on the other side.
Here I am telling people forever as a physio, don't worry, the majority of people are going to recover beautifully after something like this. I have every reason to believe you're going to do quite well. And now suddenly I'm staring in the mirror going, I'm not doing so well. So I think there's something to be learned there for us as practitioners and researchers, that we need to take into consideration what that person's living with on a day-to-day basis, because I thankfully knew what I was talking about, not all the time, but sometimes. But I thought to myself how scary that must be for someone that doesn't know that information. And I think just to share with the audience and people watching this is that, you know, if you have questions, ask.
Find that story amazing. Whiplash from a sneeze. Who would have thought? Coming up, we find out the facts about Ozempic and why it's taken the world by storm. And Heinzie taps into an ancient tea ritual that helps people tune in to their breath and their bodies. That's coming up after this.
Have you ever wondered why people get the urge to pinch the chubby little cheeks of a cute baby or like really squeeze that gorgeous puppy?
It's a strange thing, Joe, when you think about it. In psychology, they've actually got a name for it. They call it cute aggression, where, as you say, you want to squeeze, crush, or even bite an object of your affection.
And as with most bizarre behaviours, it actually does serve a purpose, and that is to stop us from becoming overwhelmed by the flood of emotions that we feel when we see something that's just too cute.
Yeah. And when you think of it, it's a funny name to give it, cute aggression, because I don't think it's an act of aggression as such. For me, it's more an act of love and joy, more so than aggression.
Well, that's lovely. Well, humans have a lot of bizarre behaviours that are involuntary, like blushing. Here's Dr. Nick to explain what causes our faces to flush.
Let's travel back in time. You're 12 years old, it's the Year 7 disco, and your crush has just asked you to dance. Before you can even muster up the courage to say yes, you feel the heat rising in your face, and you realise your classmates are all staring at your bright red cheeks. If just that description has made you blush, well, you're not alone. We all start blushing from the age of about 3 when we become self-aware enough to see how others perceive us. As soon as we're capable of feeling nervous or awkward in social situations, those awkward feelings cause our body's fight or flight response. The hormone adrenaline opens up the blood vessels and makes the face red and hot for anything from 2 seconds to a full 3 minutes. Ouch. Now, if you're someone who blushes easily, a cold face washer can help shrink down the blood vessels and help get rid of that rosy redness. But blushing is nothing to be ashamed of. Charles Darwin called it the most human of expressions. No other animal on Earth blushes like us humans, which is a pity, really, because a blushing koala would be so adorable.
Well, Dr. Nick today is all about how the body works and how to work it. And I'm hearing a lot about the health benefits of lying or even sleeping on the ground.
Yeah, this one really is more in the realm of psychology, Jack. And lying on the floor does make our posture more open and relaxed, which is supposed to make us feel more grounded and calm. No, I reckon it just makes me feel like I should be on a mattress.
Totally.
But I think that's part of the point, because it's supposed to take us out of our comfort zone, which makes us more attuned to our body and less focused on our thoughts.
Well, it's a bit like if you're doing yoga or meditation and at the end of the class, Shavasana. I don't actually do yoga, but I hear that's what happens at the end, where you lie down and you kind of relax into it.
Yeah, which is what they do with a lot of Zen meditation and some of those tea ceremonies. So it might be worth a go for younger people like you.
Thank you. Well, from staying grounded to the drug that continues to dominate the news, demand for the type 2 diabetes drug Ozempic isn't slowing down. So we've spoken to an Aussie expert to get the very latest information on Ozempic.
Ozempic is an injectable medication. It's a once-a-week injectable medication, and it's replicating a natural hormone that's in our bodies. The hormone is called GLP-1, which stands for glucagon-like peptide number 1. This natural hormone in our bodies is actually part of a very complex appetite regulation system. And so GLP-1, when given as a medication, lasts longer in dampening down our appetite and our hunger and our desire for food. And that when we do eat, we feel full with less food, and then we feel full for longer. It is a medication that has had significant effects from a weight control point of view. That's why we're hearing so much about the clamour for this medication.
Ozempic isn't just making waves in the medical world, it's also dominating social media feeds everywhere.
The celebrity has improved the dissemination or the talking about this medication, and I think that is a disservice for people who actually have a chronic medical condition called obesity. And that's very different from someone who's wanting to lose weight from a body image point of view. And I think those two things need to be completely separated. And I do think that some of the celebrity use of this medication has contributed to this imbalance of supply and demand.
Given the high demand, there's a growing consensus that priority should be given to those with type 2 diabetes.
That's what our regulators are asking of both prescribers and pharmacists. In my mind, it wouldn't be black and white as to only people with type 2 diabetes having access. It needs to be controlled for the people who need it most, being able to get supply whilst there are issues with demand. If you're on a PBS script, I do believe that that will put you at the top of the list of people asking for this medication. This is a newish medication. We don't know what we don't know. We still have what we call post-marketing surveillance to see if we're picking up side effects or risks or concerns that were not seen in the clinical trials done by the drug company. And this is why it's important that if a patient has heard about Ozempic and wanting to know more, that they go and see their trusted medical prescriber to talk talk about whether this medication is suitable and the pros and cons, both short-term and long-term. Start off with the lower dose, make sure that you tolerate it. I really hope that we don't use this medication for the perceived quick fix. I hope that this medication is not used in regards to body image concerns, which at their extreme can actually be a mental health condition. I'm hoping that we use this as an add-on tool for healthy habit gains, lifestyle changes, and it's actually treating clinical obesity as a chronic complex medical condition or health conditions associated with obesity. If it's really about trying to look good at a reunion or get into a certain size for a particular event, I understand the social pressures that the person would have, but there are significant side effects, particularly in changing body composition with rapid weight loss, which may ultimately be doing their metabolic risk worse than if they stayed healthy at a larger size.
After the break, what does your surname say about you and how does it compare with the rest of the world? Plus, one way to warm up this winter by rocking a red lip. Back after this.
Jacqui, right now researchers are mapping the most common surnames around the globe and the trends behind them. And it turns out that Darcy has both French and Gaelic origins. And the common trend is either dark or even the dark-haired one.
The dark-haired one. They got it wrong with you.
I was a little blondie as a kid. I'm not sure that's me.
Totally. And oui, the French part too.
Exactly.
Yes. Felgate, we had a look at that as well. So fel comes from this old English term feld, which means field, and obviously gate. So walking through a field gate.
So you're a real gate opener for people,
Look, I
Jack.
try.
That could be worse things than to be known as that. As I said, the understanding of surnames and the stories behind them is really fascinating to me. And we know the researchers are mapping those surnames and the common ones around the globe. And it may not surprise you, Jack, that Smith in Australia, New Zealand and the Western-speaking world is the most common surname.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. Smith means metal worker. So it comes from the heritage of these occupational names, say farmer or mason. But some other countries look to the heritage when they have their family name. For example, in Mexico, Hernandez, or in Sweden, Anderson.
Well, Jack, our own Luke Hines has gone on an overseas trip of sorts.
He doesn't mind one.
Well, at least in his own mind, he's taken part in a breath and brew workshop in search of the perfect routine that suits him right down to a T.
Imagine a place where a cup of tea wasn't just a delicious drink, but an opportunity to drop into a state of both meditation and stillness, combining an ancient ritual that's been around for centuries with a wellness trend that couldn't be hotter right now. Well, I'm about to take a deep, relaxing breath and a sip, a very mindful sip of a healing brew.
So firstly, this is full leaf tea, as in when it expand and open up, it is a full leaf.
Yeah.
So tea for me, you know, if I want to put it into a very big context, is the answer to the current mental health crisis. Because it is such a good tool that is tangible, where, you know, a lot of time you say, oh, you know, we need to meditate, but what the hell are we doing, you know, sitting down there for like hours? But, you know, when you are using, you know, tea as a media, then you can actually have something tangible and you are making something happen. And if you do it with intention and attention, then that is meditation.
It smells a bit like chocolate.
It can be, yeah, good nose.
Kaishan, what is a brew and breath workshop?
So this is a workshop that I created, combining the two things I'm most passionate about. The brew part being a artisan crafty ritual that is done with intention and attention. And the breath part is a pranayama breath work. So I call this 5 sensory, you know, experience. So what we just did was we, you know, view the leaves. So we use our sight, and then we also use our nose to smell it.
So this is the 100 degree or so water?
Yes. But with this oolong, brewing time is quite short. I've been a tea specialist for 6 years in Melbourne, and I found this teacher that taught art of brewing. And the first thing you learn before you are even allowed to play with your water was, the element of qi, to understand and feel your qi before you even can, start using tea leaves, start moving water from pot to pot. And then fast forward 5 years, I was ready to get into my yoga teacher training, and I was guided to this teacher who teach pranayama. And she also, guess what prana means? Prana means chi in Hindu. So this is actually, two practice that with a shared theme of chi control. And I'm like, I have to combine the two. So here's your cup of tea.
Thank you.
And sip, because it's really hot. Yeah. The aim of Brew and Breath for me is actually to take ourselves out of our daily happenings. So, you have a space to retreat and not think about, not let your mind indulge with your challenges and your struggles, and just focus on this. And then, so, if you're spending a period of time focusing on, for example, brewing a tea or doing your breath work, and when you go back to your everyday life, you're like, okay, I'm less attached to my problem, so you can better solve it.
Whether it's the simple automatic act of breathing as we get on with our busy day, or having a quick cup of tea as you run out the door in the morning, they're two actions that we all do that we often don't think about. In fact, we take them for granted. And it's not until you break them down into their individual unique actions in a really mindful way that you disconnect from the outside world and reconnect with yourself. So if you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or like you can't handle anything else on your plate, the Brew and Breath workshop may be for you, because it's a fantastic foot in the door to wellness without the bells and whistles.
An area of tea-loving Japan, Joe, is one of the world's 5 so-called blue zones where people live longer, they're generally healthier and happier. And Australia is also one of the places where we live longest, and we're living longer than ever before, but we're not a blue zone just yet.
Well, no. Our reliance on processed food and tobacco means that we have a little way to go yet, but there are 9 key lifestyle traits that all communities living in blue zones share, including having rituals to reduce stress, like tea ceremonies.
They also include physical exercise, moderate alcohol consumption and a healthy plant-based diet, and as well as having something to motivate you to get up in the morning.
Yeah, and that motivation could be the desire to change the world, or it might be something as simple as stepping out feeling good. And few things scream self-empowerment and confidence like a bold red lip.
In my world of beauty, nothing screams glamour and strength like a beautiful red lip. There is a red shade for everyone if you are confident enough to pull it off. If you're more on the fairer side with your skin, blue tone red lip really suits you. And if you're more olive in complexion, an orange undertone red lip would suit someone. I actually think the older you get, red lipstick actually suits you more. Because as we get older, we lose the pigmentation in our lip. I've seen mature women with a beautiful grey chic bob and nothing on their face other than mascara and a red lip, and they ultimately look stylish, confident. So I do think as you age, don't put away the red lipstick yet. Holly, tell me, what's your relationship with red lipstick or red lip?
Well, I'm a dancer, so I've used red a lot throughout my life, and I've found that there are a lot that I really love and work really well, and then there's also some that don't photograph as well, or, yeah, just not my favourite.
Yep, I agree with you, and I think everyone has a good red and a red that we shouldn't really work with. And today, we're going to be looking at the good.
Yes.
Let's start off with a red lip liner. The one that I really love for you in particular, Holly, is this Maybelline Brick Red. And you can see it's really rich, it's a really beautiful red, kind of a universal shade. So we're going to go in, start at the bottom of the lip, and I think just following the lip not going or extending the shape to begin with. Little trick is to smile, like half a smile. Gets that lip quite tight, and then go in and just follow the lip, and you'll have a nice, smooth line. And there's always the option to layer it as well. So if it was looking a little dull and we need a little bit more bright, we can pop it just in the center, this red shade, to brighten it up also. So now we're going to extend ourselves a little. We're going to go with the Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink. So this is a matte, long wear finish. And it starts glossy but then dries matte. So for those finer areas, use the tip of the applicator. It will help a lot more. It's so classic yet vintage. How do you feel about this second look?
Yeah, I really love the colour. I feel really classy and sophisticated, and I can't wait to use it more.
Good, it's a win-win. This one you have to add to your kit. Actually, you know what? Just take this. It's a gift from me.
Thank you.
Nick, as long as I've been part of the House of Wellness, enjoyed the conversations around men's mental health and trying to get men like us to talk more and improve better health outcomes, and you'd like to hope we're making some sort of difference.
Yeah, well, things still aren't great, Darcy, because at the moment around about 43% of Australian men describe mental health problems at some point in their lives, and that doesn't include those people who never go for help. So we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, they're alarming numbers, aren't they? A story that does give me hope was out of West Africa. 150 barbers and hairdressers trained in counselling, trying to break the taboos, open up better conversations for mental health in that part of the world.
Yeah, there must be something about sitting in that barber's chair, just relaxed and not even actually thinking about your mental health. So maybe that's the sort of thing that lets men open up a bit.
It is a bit of a counselling session when you think about it, sitting down in the barber's chair. Yeah.
Meditation, relaxed, have that hair done.
Absolutely. And a great champion of this space is the CEO and founder of Gotcha for Life, Gus Warren, who's been a great friend of ours in the House of Wellness. He has supported so many better health outcomes for men and just built a new platform to continue to have a great impact in the men's mental health space.
I started Gotcha off the back of a friend of mine taking his own life, and I sat there for many years and never spoke about it. Then eventually I was brave enough to talk about it on a breakfast radio show that I had in Sydney, and so many people phoned in and said, "Thank you for telling your story. Can I tell you my story?" It's like we gave them permission to talk about the stuff that normally they don't talk about. That's when I did the Man Up program and then started Gotcha for Life. We really challenged masculinity in this country and why we lose so many blokes, but within a couple of years we soon realised that Gotcha for Life was for all Australians, it was for all humans, and we want to make sure that people get the right skills to be able to talk about the stuff that traditionally we've been not talking about, and that, worrying alone, can really be dangerous for us. If you combine being physically fit with being mentally fit, then you're pretty unstoppable. Most people take the physical stuff a little bit for granted because we talk about it all the time. We practice it. There's gyms, there's personal trainers. You can go for a jog, you can go for a walk. But building your emotional muscle, working on those muscles that are invisible in your head, we haven't spoken about that enough, so it hasn't been practiced enough. But if we practice it, we go to the mental fitness gym, which Gotcha for Life has built now. It's just a click of a button. It'll take you there, 30 seconds to register. There'll never be any fees, and you can actually get some information sent to you every single day that might be able to help you. Gotcha for Life is now the #1 charity for mental fitness in Australia, and there's just no way that we could have done it without Chemist Warehouse that allow us to make this type of work and to do this type of work. And it's hugely emotional. It's very, very difficult to deal with at times, but I know that we're making a difference, and that's what keeps you going. The biggest takeaway for anyone that is watching this right now is please don't worry alone. There are people out there, whether it's friends or families, coaches, teachers, or a professional. There are so many wonderful things online that you can go to as well. And one of those could be the Mental Fitness Gym. One of those could be gotchaforlife.org. But there are so many services out there that are available for people to talk to. So please don't worry alone about anything. Have the conversation with someone, and you will be able to get through the type of stuff that life throws at you. But it's so much easier if you've got a village or a team around you rather than taking things on by yourself.
Humans have used honey for thousands of years for its health benefits and its sweet, delicious taste, but not all honey is created equal. Manuka honey, derived from the nectar of the leptospermum plant, stands out for its remarkable natural bioactive properties. This is all thanks to the naturally occurring chemical methylglyoxal, or MGO, researched for its antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. The higher the MGO content, the more potent the honey's activity. Australia is home to 84 of the 87 known leptospermum species, while New Zealand is home to just one. This, alongside the warmer climate, is why Australia produces some of the most potent, best-tasting Manuka honey in the world. With over 140 years of expertise in honey, Barnes Naturals is amongst the oldest honey brands in Australia. Their range of 100% Australian Manuka honey is independently tested to guarantee potency and is available in a range of strengths to cater to all health and wellbeing needs. Everyday use varieties ranging from 100 plus to 400 plus are ideal for daily consumption. They can be enjoyed as a better for you honey as part of a healthy breakfast or used as a natural sweetener in tea. Higher strength varieties from MGO 550 plus to 1050 plus lend themselves more to therapeutic purposes. They can be taken by the spoonful to soothe a sore throat or incorporated into a homemade remedy alongside other natural ingredients. Winter is around the corner, which always prompts us to think about our health and how we can help avoid or recover from nasty winter lurgies. With its luxurious cream texture and a light, delicious taste, Barnes Naturals' authentic Australian Manuka honey has both strength and sweetness covered for every member of the family, however they choose to enjoy it.
Now, Dr. Nick, I know you are the height of fashion, so here's one for you. It's the deliberately dumbing down, at least when it comes to our phones.
Yes, well, the rest of us are catching up with what Gen Z... who are Gen Z again?
I can't remember.
OK, well, Gen Z have apparently been embracing this for some time now, ditching the smartphone for what's called a dumb phone. You know, the old kind that just made a call, sent a text, took a few photos. I love this.
Yes, so no social media, no web browser. So how would I Google all the things I don't know or remember? But, you know, it's big. Rapper Kendrick Lamar, his collaboration with a tech company to make a dumb phone sold out instantly.
And we know we're in the middle of a tech and social media addiction. I think you actually might be a part of that, Jo.
Undoubtedly, yes.
Anything that can reduce our reliance on devices and give us a little bit more thinking space has to be good.
Yes, it's all about the simple life. And Zoe agrees. Here she is with her version of a fresh and simple salad that anyone can make.
If you're looking for a gentle way to ease into eating fish, well, tuna is definitely it. It's creamy, buttery, soft, not fishy. In fact, it tastes a lot like tender beef. I'm taking a classic approach today, seared with a vegetable salad and an avocado dressing. What's up? Are you prepared to pay the price for? Start with the tuna steak marinade. I never prep fish without adding lemon zest and juice. It will tone down the fishiness and ramp up the flavour. Let it sit for 10 minutes and then sear it for about 2 to 4 minutes each side for medium rare. Tuna's versatility is not just in the cooking, it's in the health space too. It's rich in nutrients that support skin, hair and nail health. Now onto the dressing where I'm going all out. Basil and mint leaves for a little bit of aromatic freshness. Apple cider vinegar delivers sharpness. A bit of chilli for heat. And I can't get enough of the zest. But honey and avocado balance it out with sweetness and nuttiness. The dressing packs such a punch because the vegetable salad has such a light-on flavour. But what it lacks in the taste bud department, it makes up for in colour. Now, this looks like a lot, and it is, but there's nothing fussy or overcomplicated. And as for the taste, heaven. Now, if this doesn't turn you on to tuna, I don't know what will. Get Nourished is brought to you by Go Healthy. Go men's hair, skin, nails.
for supporting healthy hair, skin integrity and nail health. It feels good to go healthy.
Life is noisy. Concerts, flying, workplaces, construction sites, even sleeping can be loud if you have a snoring partner or pet. Most noises exist in the background without us noticing, until of course we do. Then it feels like there's no escape. Surgipack earplugs provide effective noise reduction in a variety of loud settings. Made from malleable silicone, they're soft, comfortable and able to be moulded into the shape of our outer ears because they're as unique and individual as we are. As well as sealing out noise, Surgipack earplugs help to seal out water. The range also includes options for a variety of general and specific needs, an easy fit and a specialised hygienic and waterproof earplug ideal for swimmers, even earplugs for kids. They can also be reused, handy for travel. Whether your end game is preventing hearing damage from an event like motorsport or simply blocking out disruptive sounds in order to concentrate or sleep, we're all deserving of a bit of peace and quiet.
Well, today we're talking about bodyworks, but we never pass up an opportunity to talk about animals. And this time it's scientists in Hungary and Sweden have been investigating the brain of our favourite animal, the dog.
Yeah, and what they found was that many modern dogs actually had larger brains, which was surprising because until now it was thought that domestication had caused their brains to shrink.
That's right. So the more a dog is removed from its ancestor wolves, the bigger its brain becomes, which is kind of interesting, as you say, Dr. Nick, because we pamper them and we love them, but their brains are actually getting bigger.
And Jack, scientists predicted that dogs that are used in more complex tasks like hunting or herding would actually have larger relative brains. But, Nick, that proved not to be the case.
Yeah, because as Jack said, evolutionarily, the only thing that predicted the bigger size of a dog's brain was its distance from the wolves.
So my Labrador Daisy is a long way from wolves, I would suggest, but I'm yet to see any evidence of a large brain on that dog.
Well, on that note, that's all we've got time for today. Thanks to Dr. Nick Carr, to Jacqui Felgate and to Joe Stanley.
Tune into the House of Wellness Radio every Sunday with Luke Hines and Gerald Quickly.
Big thanks, as always, to our friends at Chemist Warehouse. It's bye for now.